Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are really excited to be hosting this webinar session. It's actually the last session of our series in 2020. First of all, again, thank you, Maria and Ellie, for joining me today. It's really exciting to have you here. We're all really busy before the holidays start, but I'm glad that we could make this. So let's start introducing ourselves a little bit more. Well, the main reason why we wanted to host this session around time management is because, well, as you may or may not know, Absolute Internship is an award-winning international internship program. We provide international opportunities to university students and recent graduates across 11 different locations worldwide, okay, across Europe and Asia mainly. So we are in contact with a lot of students every day. We hear their career goals. We hear their struggles, their challenges before applying to our programs and during the program as well. And especially now that we are welcoming a lot of our interns remotely, they're working through a remote internship. They really this is something that comes up a lot. Struggling with time management, okay, especially when we're dealing with different commitments at university, at work, family commitments, etc. Okay, so I think this is a very appropriate and convenient session that we're gonna a problem that we're gonna address today, and hopefully we can help you with our experiences. So myself, my name is Joel. I'm the marketing team leader at Absolute Internship. I'm from Barcelona, Spain. We are based actually in Spain. So yeah, I have quite an international background. I've been studying abroad in Canada. I've been working in a couple of countries like Germany and the UK, and now I went 2 years ago. I came back to my hometown, and this is where I am now. Do you want to introduce yourself, please,
yes,
Maria?
Thank you, Joel. My name is Maria Pizzo. I am from Pennsylvania in the US. I joined Absolute Internship almost 3 years ago here in Barcelona, Spain. I've been living in Spain for the last 7 years now. I came to study abroad, had my international experience. Through Absolute Internship, I've been able to travel to both Shanghai and Hong Kong and live there on our programs with our students, which was really amazing and honestly life-changing. I have a background in Spanish. I have my first Master's of Science in Higher Education with a focus on global education, and I am working on my second Master in Marketing and Sales Management. So quite busy. Hopefully I'll have a lot of input for you for time management, both inside and outside of work, and balancing all your commitments. And without further ado, I'll let Ellie present herself.
Hi, it's very nice to be here with you today. My name is Bonilla. I am originally from Venezuela in South America, and I've been living in Barcelona, Spain for almost 3 years now. I am an enrollment coordinator at Absolute Internship, and as Maria, I was also part of one of our programs as a program coordinator in 2018 in Barcelona and Madrid. I have a background in modern languages and translation. I speak 4 languages now, and I manage my time in between a full-time job and full-time student as well currently. Yeah.
Thank you both for being here again. It's really exciting. I just want to move forward with the agenda for today. Again, it's going to be around a 30-minute session maximum, and then we're going to have some time for a Q&A if you guys have any questions for us. So we're going to just mention briefly why do we deal with time management, and why do we have to be good at this personally by managing different responsibilities. We're going to cover we're going to list basically some problems that students really face when dealing with these different commitments, and some best practices, some techniques to improve that time management that you can straight away implement. after this session. And lastly, we're going to cover some like a really exciting section on how to use technology nowadays to manage your time. Okay. And as I've said, we're going to have this Q&A at the end in case any of you want to ask anything. So as I've said, a little background on what do we do. As I've said, I work at Absolute Internship full-time. However, I also combine different projects outside work. I'm a freelancer as well, so I do some marketing consultancy for different clients outside my job schedule. So even on the weekends or at night, so I need to be very, very effective on my time management and very productive as well. So that's a bit more about me. What about you, Maria?
So my role in itself at Absolute Internship as the Enrollment and University Development Manager is quite diverse in itself and keeps me on my toes in a lot of different areas. I currently manage the Enrollment Team, which has 5 members, so staying on top of their performance, providing feedback, coaching, support for them. And then also on the other hand, I collaborate with marketing. Joel and I work really closely together. And then I also work on developing new partnerships with universities, organizations, agencies as well. So I have quite a diverse portfolio in terms of my position, and I need to make sure that I'm meeting all of my deadlines in all of those different areas. And then apart from that, I study 10 hours per week at a business school. And I have to find time as well to manage all of my assignments, studies. So, and then sometimes I have a social life. It's only 1 year, but yeah, so there are quite a lot of time commitments that I have, and staying balanced is really important. So I look forward to speaking with you more about how I am able to do that both inside and outside of work.
Thank you. What about you, Ellie?
Yes, and in my case, well, as I mentioned, I worked at the enrollment team at Absolute Internship. I'm managed by Maria, actually. And well, I speak with students on a day-to-day basis. I help them with information about our programs. I interview them. We collaborate with the marketing team, with the admissions committee and the admissions team as well. So it's a position that requires a lot of energy, as you need to be speaking with students and candidates every day. So of course, it's not only managing your time, but managing as well your personal time to dedicate to taking care of yourself, of your energy levels, of your personal life. And I am also a full-time student. I used to work part-time for Absolute. I am now working full-time as I'm just focusing now on my dissertation. But definitely it's still it's a lot. So I wouldn't have been able to spend 2 years as a part-time student and working at the same time without understanding how to manage my time.
Thank you, Ellie. So as I've said, we want to continue with listing some problems that we've been gathering from our students in terms of time management being a challenge, or like struggling with combining and balancing out different commitments. So as you can see, we've gathered basically students that are lacking organization skills, for example. That's a really common one, unfortunately. Another problem that we are facing sometimes is that our priorities are not clear, right? Like whoever is giving you the task or this project at university didn't really specify how important, how urgent this task is. So that's another problem. Sometimes our goal is not clear. We don't know where are we heading to, or like we don't know what do we want to achieve with this project. So that's another issue. Lack of communication, this is a very popular one as well. Procrastination, we all as students have been procrastinating at some point. That feeling that you just want to postpone everything and you don't want to deal with even starting that project. Then stress, very popular, no explanation needed here. It's a very common feeling, and everyone is going to feel stressed out at some point. So let's be natural to talk about this. And lastly, lack of motivation, also a really important one to be addressed and to be aware that you might be lacking this this motivation to continue your commitment, whichever it is. So
I want to say that I think a lot of times the most important thing to think with all of these time management problems is that you're not alone. A lot of these students, as Joel said, this is stuff we hear all the time. A lot of them are interconnected, procrastinating can cause a lot of stress, lack of motivation. It could be because you don't know where to start or what your priorities are or when you need to turn things in, what the main point of the project is. And a lot of this does come from communication as well with your supervisor, with your professors or whoever it might be that you have to interact with. So a lot of this is keeping in mind that these are areas that you can improve on. We have these techniques for you today, but it's completely normal. So we hope to be able to provide some more insight about that.
Sure. Thank you for your contribution. I just wanted to share this really quick live poll that you guys can participate in the audience, just so you realize what's basically your what of all what we mentioned, what is your biggest challenge with time management. So feel free to participate these few seconds, and we can see and understand what's happening. We have some guesses what's going to be the most common one. But yeah, let's see what's coming up. So yeah, I mean, procrastination is probably the most common one. Okay, very interesting.
We're almost finished.
Okay. 60% of you bought it. That's interesting. So procrastination is the most popular one. And then followed by lack of motivation sometimes, and lack of planning or organization. Okay. Yeah. I mean, for my guess was procrastination big time. Yeah. I mean, I've been a student myself, and we all know that sometimes we procrastinate. So it's really important to be aware of what's your main struggle when looking at how to organize yourself. So yeah, okay, that's really interesting. Just quick share the results with you so you all believe what I'm talking about. Let's move on then. Okay, so now that we've seen the main issues of our students, and probably yours as well, we want to continue with
the 5 techniques that you can implement to improve your time management. So again, there's no one right way to manage your time. A lot of it is trial and error, see what really works best for you. Me personally, I have a lot of different methods that I use, and then I continue to implement into my life as well. So to get started, I'll go over the first one, which would be to create to-do lists and planning your calendar. So what do I mean by this? Something that I learned my first year at university was to create a list of all the tasks that you need to complete and learn which ones have high priorities. So one of them that I like to do is to start with the tasks that I least would like to complete. Not all the time I get to choose my tasks and if I like them or not, but they have to get done. So if you start off with the one that you least are motivated to do, the rest of them should be a lot quicker and faster to get through and easier per se. So that's one thing that I really like to do. In terms of planning the calendar, I use Google Calendar and I block out my time and I schedule that. Now, at first, when I started to do this, I found that it was very difficult to stay focused on one task. You start seeing your emails pop up, or you have team members coming and asking you questions, or whatever the case might be. So I think it's really great as a training exercise to block off your time, really stay focused and say, okay, no, this is what I'm really dedicating my time to right now, to try to stay focused on that task at hand. Okay. The second one from there is estimating time for each task. I think this is probably one of the most challenging aspects of managing your time, and it's something that definitely comes with a lot of experience. I still feel like I'm learning every day. Sometimes I underestimate my time greatly. Sometimes I overplan. It happens, but the idea is that you're constantly understanding your speed, level of knowledge going into the task as well. Sometimes that will require greater time dedicated. So keep that in mind when you're starting something that's new or unfamiliar for you, that you might need more time than you had anticipated, especially if you are procrastinating and leaving something to the last minute, you might need more time than you anticipate. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay. When you're writing down your tasks and you're going through each things and prioritizing and setting deadlines, I am a big fan. I'm a very visual person. I'm a big fan of crossing off my tasks once they're completed. I definitely use a notebook where I like to physically cross off my tasks. Maybe that's a bit old school of me, but I also use Google Notes as well on my phone. They have like these really helpful little check boxes, and I sometimes tick them off as well when I'm on the go. So those are some of the tools, but I think that crossing things off, seeing the progress that you've done, even keeping a little diary of what you've completed for the week, it really gives you an idea of how productive you've been. And I think you start to see the results for yourself, and it can be really motivating as well. So in terms of prioritizing and setting deadlines, we do have a nice visual for you of how that can work and how to keep this in mind, okay? So keeping in mind, the most important thing when you're working on different projects or different tasks is the deadline. How urgent is it for you to complete this task, okay? If it's something that is urgent and important, you should do it and get it out of the way and get it done with as soon as possible. So this means that you have more time to schedule in the other tasks that are not as important. I think my team hears me all the time when I'm like, this is high priority, this is low priority if they're coming to me with different tasks. But it's really seeing that big picture, especially if you're in a long-term internship that's maybe a couple of months long and you've been assigned multiple projects. Okay, well, when are the deadlines? How do I have to set my priorities? What should I be working on now? What can I wait to start? And what do I need to work on consistently to get that done? So if you look at our visual, you can see that you can start with fast or simple tasks to longer and more involvement required ones that will help you prioritize in terms of urgency, okay? And then you can decide to start with most time sensitive versus the least time sensitive. For me too, when you do start your planning for the week and you create your lists and you create your strategy of what you're looking for during the week, you can create your deadlines and your priorities, and you can break down your tasks into even smaller lists. I really enjoy lists. So I mean, I think this helps a lot in terms of staying organized and focused, keeping in mind what your priorities are and your deadlines to be able to deliver what you're working on. Okay.
Thank you, Maria. I actually really love to categorize my projects and my tasks in these 4 different categories. If it's urgent and important, if it's only important but not urgent, and so on. I think it really gives you a great overview of what you have on your plate. So just to follow on Maria's techniques and best practices, the 4th one would say it's planning backwards. Okay, this one really works for me. What I mean by planning backwards is whenever you have this deadline, if you don't have one, ask for it. Either if it's during your internship or at university, you always need to have this deadline. And then planning backwards basically means starting from the deadline, how much time it will take you to work on the last stage of your task or project. So basically, splitting your project or task in different stages and planning from your deadline to the day of today. Okay, so for example, in my case, I would, for example, plan or estimate 1 day for revision of the project. Whoever is supervising you or whoever wants to give you that check. Then you would spend time on actually implementing the project, the campaign, and then the brainstorming stage. Let's say it's the first thing, so you would plan until today. Okay, so that goes back to estimating your time as well.
And make sure to plan time if you're collaborating on the project with other people to check in with them. How are they doing on the project? Because if you're managing your time in your project and it's going well, but you depend on other people and there are different variables, this is something you have to factor in as well. So yes, I agree. Planning backwards is a great tool.
Yeah. And then personally, my favorite one, this exercise, I encourage you all to just give it a go. It's nothing complicated. The 3 R's exercise, it's again, very simple. 3 R's means runners, repeaters, and rarities. Thank you, Maria. Meaning that you're going to have this to-do list again, and you're going to categorize your projects or tasks into these 3 different categories. They are basically influenced by your time, by the time that they take, okay, or by the frequency that they happen. So runners would be activities, problems, or processes, or any project that you see all the time on a daily basis even. So for example, it could be emails, like checking emails or daily check-ins with your work colleague or with your project colleague, or like any weekly meeting with your supervisor during the internship. That's a runner, okay? So then we would go into repeaters, which is again any project, any activity that you see regularly but not all the time. So for example, in my case, it could be like writing an article, it could be creating a specific campaign or like social media content, reporting any tasks. So that's a repeater task, okay? And then lastly, rarities, it's something you rarely see, as the name says, or see very infrequently, okay? So it could be any sporadic project that someone through you at university, or you're involved with, or you're supporting with, but it's very, very rare. Maybe like benchmarking different competitors on different projects that have already been done before, researching. So that's personally my favorite one, and it works every time. It gives you this great overview of what do you have on your plate and how, again, to prioritize it. And these 5 techniques can all be combined, obviously. I combine them all. I don't know about you, Maria or Ellie.
Yes, definitely. Like I said, I think it's just a matter of finding what fits for you and at what point you are. So definitely.
Okay, so let's go on to the use of technology to manage your time.
Great. Thank you, Joelle and Maria. And I agree, we need to use whatever works best for you and for the tasks that you have. In my case, I really like to-do lists as well as Maria. But something that I've noticed is that I can actually use technology to my advantage, because managing time and remaining efficient, I think, becomes harder because of the technology that we have, because they are very, very distracting. Whether you're working and then you have your phone on your desk and you just see a blinking light and, oh, let's see what's new on Twitter, or you're working on your laptop and let's open LinkedIn to see what's up in the industry. So all of these can be very, very distracting. And if for you, turning off your phone seems a little bit distracting, sorry, not distracting, this is drastic for you, there are some tips. So first is avoiding the distraction. One drastic method, just turn off your phone. But if you don't want to turn off your phone, then use the concentration mode. Most smartphones currently have concentration modes, and what that does is that it disables the applications that you don't want to touch. So social media, WhatsApp, and it only allows you to receive calls and SMSs, or nothing at all, just checking your alarms and clock, for example, or maybe calculator. And that's really cool because I personally use it, and my phone counts the time that I've spent on that concentration mode. And you see, you check your phone, it's like, oh, I've been concentrated 2 hours. And then I forgot that I have my phone on concentration mode, and I just pick my phone and I, unlock it, and I can't use anything. I'm like, oh, okay, back to work. So that really works for me because my cell phone is very distracting. So if that's your problem, then try to use the concentration mode and you will train yourself. And of course, turn off notifications, avoid the blinking light or the screen showing you notifications. Just put your phone on silent mode, avoid notifications, and that will help you if you don't want to turn off your phone. If it's working on your browser, then use the one tap rule. Having a lot of tabs, and this is an advice that I give to myself as well, because I do have a lot of tabs all the time open because I need them. What I do is that I split. I have like the tabs that I use when I'm doing interviews with students, and then tabs that I have when I'm taking my emails. If you have all your tabs open, it's very distracting to see that you just received a new email, or you just get lost in between tabs. What was I doing? And you get distracted. You were on I don't know, your CRM, and then you have LinkedIn open, and you by mistake open LinkedIn, you will very distracted. So that goes with focusing on one task at a time. If you use the task rule, only have open the tabs, sorry, that you need to use. And then schedule time to reply to your emails. That really works. If you constantly are checking your email, you will lose a lot of time. So of course, there are some emails that are maybe priority. So use the rules that my colleagues just mentioned. But if not, then just simply leave your emails towards the end of your day, for example. Schedule time for your emails. Moving forward, the next is using technology to your advantage. So there are amazing apps that are very user friendly. And I want to mention the two that we use at Absolute actually, and that I use personally as well to arrange and organize my tasks. So first is Google Calendar. This is not only for scheduling meetings or for seeing the days of the month. It's very useful. It helps you to stay organized and prioritize. So for example, this is how my Google Calendar looks. So the Google Calendar has this task. It's not really an application, although you can use that app on your phone as well. But basically, it allows you to do to-do lists and also merge that into your calendar. So if you have something really important to do, you just add that to your task list, assign a date and a time to finish that, and it will show on your calendar along with your meeting. So if you have a meeting, if you have a due date or something important, it will be on your calendar too. So you can have an overview on everything that you have to do or to complete. And then you can also use the checkbox. And I love doing that on my phone because it gives me a lot of sense of progress, as Maria mentioned. So it's a really cool feature of Google Calendar that it's kind of hidden and not everybody uses it. So you can use that and also have notifications on your phone with those due dates. Moving forward, Trello. This is more for tracking your progress and collaborate for team members. So it's great for project management, of course. It allows you to create different boards. So for example, if you have a project and you need to understand, kind of do a breakdown on what needs to be done and who needs to do what, and then understanding this is what it's on our to-do list. This is what we are currently working on, and this is what hasn't already been completed. So if we move forward in the presentation, you will be able to see an example on a Trello board. This is how it looks like, and it's very customizable. So you can add your own boards and your cards and add colors to categorize them, add infographic charts. It's really great and it helps you to collaborate. You can also receive notifications and you can assign this. So it's a collaborative application as well. And finally, these are just some applications that you can whether have on your desktop or on your phone, Android and iOS. That I recommend as well and that are related to time management. So the first one is Rescue Time. This helps you to understand what's still in your time. And actually, a lot of smartphones do that for you. So try to check that. It will track what application are you taking more of your time. So whether you're spending an hour on Instagram a day, that's a red flag. So that will help you to understand whether you're spending more time on one application or another. Then you have Remember the Milk. This is a very common one, and it's compatible with your phone, with your computer, Gmail, Outlook, and it allows you to basically sync all your devices and see all of your to-do lists from your calendar and from your email in one application. Then we have Forest. This is a really cute one if you enjoy plants. So basically this is kind of the concentration mode. It will tell you, hey, you've been concentrated for this amount of time, but basically you can plant a virtual tree. So if you touch your phone and use an application that you shouldn't have, your tree will die and you can create a virtual forest. So it's kind of a game as well. So the more time you spend concentrated and away from your phone, the bigger and prettier your virtual forest will be. We have Todoist. This is basically the ultimate to-do list. So if you are a to-do lister, I think this is really great for time management. It's available as well as an app and on your browser, I believe. And you can schedule tasks, activities, etc. And finally, we have Toggle. This is really good for time management, project management as well, and in analysis as well. When where you're spending more time, and how that time, how a project should maybe change in the future, whether, for example, blog posts take most of our time. So we should dedicate and schedule more time for that, because that's actually what takes most of our time, for example, depending on your team. And finally, Mind Notes, it's a mind mapping application. So if you have your ideas all over the place, maybe this allows you to create really cool mind maps, and to understand how you should organize your thoughts. So maybe this is a more on time management and thought management organization. So yeah, those are the ones that I would recommend you to check.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you for sharing all those tools and mobile apps. I think this is pretty useful. Personally, I absolutely love Trello. I think it's a really powerful project management tool. Even if you don't work, I would use it on my other commitments, like at university. I remember using that. I think it's great. It's great because you can share it, and as Ellie said, it's collaborative. So you can share your different tasks, especially for group projects. I think it's amazing. Definitely check out that one if you're not familiar with it. And then, as simple as it sounds, but turning off your notifications, for me at least, it improved my efficiency, my time management massively. I did that right after watching this Netflix documentary, so The Social Dilemma. That was one of the tips that they had as well, and I did that right after, and it's just amazing. Honestly, it sounds really really silly, but the fact that you can decide when to check your phone, whether it's at the end of the day, and go through all your notifications or your messages, instead of just like constantly look at your screen. Everyone does that, and it's really annoying. So yeah, I that's probably one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, definitely. I personally have my phone in my bag almost all day, or I keep it face down so I don't see lights or anything. And usually I'm too busy to check it, except for at lunchtime. But yes, I definitely think there are a lot of different ways to manage your time. And to kind of finish off with everything, thank you, Ellie, for sharing those tips with us. I wanted to kind of end on a quote with a little bit of my family heritage, being Italian. I wanted to share dolce far niente, which means the pleasure of doing nothing. For me personally, this is a really difficult concept of just kind of stopping and doing nothing. But it's really important with time management to schedule breaks for yourself. Get up and stretch, take a little quick walk, meditate. I have a meditation app that I like to use to just kind of disconnect for 10 minutes. It really brings you back in and helps with your concentration and focus. So try it. It's really difficult to just do nothing without looking at your phone or your TV or Netflix, or tuning into what your friends are doing or hanging out somewhere. And it's just really nice to connect. I recommend taking a walk, just finding somewhere quiet and just connecting to yourself. That will ultimately help you improve your focus and concentration. Okay.
Love that. Thank you, Maria.
Welcome.
So yeah, this is we're heading towards the end of the session. We have some more minutes for you guys to throw any questions to us regarding time management, anything that we covered, or regarding Absolute internships. So yeah, feel free to use the chat tool for any questions that you may have. Okay. But again, thank you for making it today. It was great to cover this topic that many of our students are like, okay, I don't know how to improve my time management. I'm doing this 20 hours a week remote internship, but I also need to attend online classes, and some of them are on campus, and it's something that everyone struggles with, not only students. So I think it's something that you should be aware of, tackle, and understand what solution you might have. I hope these tips that we shared today, these best practices, help you. I think they're really easy to implement. Okay, so We have a question here. When do you plan your next day? The night before, in the morning, a few days before that? That's a really good question. Yeah, I can just say when we were talking about planning, doing a to-do list and planning your calendar, I personally love to do that at the end of every Friday before I leave for the weekend. So I try to have my upcoming week planned with the different projects that I want to work on and how much time that will take me. So I would do that in a weekly basis. I don't know. What about you, Maria and Ali?
I feel like I'm constantly updating my schedule depending on the priorities. Again, when new projects come into play, you have to constantly be looking. And I think it's really important, obviously. I do plan on a weekly basis as well. I sometimes readjust my schedule on a daily basis, but also keeping in mind the big picture of those longer deadlines that you have and looking at what's upcoming for the month. So I would say take it one step at a time, look on a daily basis, but I like to actually plan on a Monday. I feel by Friday at the end of the week, I'm quite tired. I like to write down all the tasks maybe that I didn't get to accomplish or something that I need to continue to work on before I leave. So you can, hopefully the goal is to disconnect and remember what you need to get to then rework into your calendar for that Monday. So, I mean, it's really just finding what works best for you and understanding what your schedule is. When are you most productive? Is it in the morning? Is it in the afternoon? Is it at night? Do you have the freedom and flexibility in your schedule? Plan it around that as well. I definitely schedule my events around my productivity times, where I would say I'm more active actually in the afternoons, evenings. Mm-hmm. So yeah, good question. We have another question, how to manage work with personal issues like health, etc. This is a great one. I think I could speak very well about this. So I have a lot that goes on in my life with balancing work and a master. I'm actually moving right now as well, which is quite time consuming. I would just say breathe through it all. Like I said, I do the meditation, it helps. And just remembering to take one day at a time. There's not much else that you can do. Nothing is permanent. So just take a couple deep breaths, rearrange and create those lists. Getting everything out that you need to do really, really helps a lot to kind of get it off your chest as well and writing it down.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. I agree. I've been also going through many different things, including moving as well. But personal issues, I think it's really, really important, as Maria said, to disconnect at some point on your week. So I really like to have Sundays for myself, to combine with things that I, love doing, or I always want to have more time to do for myself. So a really good life-work balance is very important. That's the bottom line I can say. I don't know if Ali, do you want to add anything else to that?
I think you covered basically everything. I think we are usually struggling with similar not issues or problems, but those situations in terms of how difficult it can be managing your time and scheduling time as well to have social life. But definitely disconnecting is key. As much as you want to be hyper productive, we only have so many hours a day. And it's important as well to schedule time for yourself, exercise. That's why and we are not perfect either. We struggle still with a lot of things. I struggle to schedule time to exercise, for example. So it's always maybe working on whatever, identifying what you're maybe might be missing in your life and taking action.
Okay.
Let's do one more question then. If something unexpected happens, how do you deal with that? Do you reschedule everything again then? Good one. Yeah, it's definitely a yes. You need to prioritize and you need to understand how urgent things are. I wouldn't say getting obsessed with your planning is healthy either. I think you need to stick to a certain planning and certain like your week, but if anything can be squeezed in because someone else requires you to jump in, then I would say you have to do it. Of course, you need to be as adaptable as possible, especially students when working remotely. I think one of the things that are most valued by companies are flexibility and adaptability. So I think students need to always be up to standards, and like always understanding that something might change. So yeah, I would say yes.
Yeah, I would like to add that happens to me quite a lot because I interview candidates all the time, and sometimes I have a meeting rescheduled. That happens quite often. So I think understanding what is it that you need to do, and sometimes for me it's okay. I have 30 minutes to spare today. So what should I do? I can take maybe the task that I had scheduled after and do it earlier, or maybe take more time in another project, assign more time to another project. So yeah, playing around. It's not a matter of changing your entire schedule just because something didn't go as planned, but being adaptable and flexible and taking advantage of that extra time that you might have. Yeah, and communication as well. If you're collaborating and maybe you're seeing that you're not meeting the deadlines, don't wait until the last minute to speak with your supervisor or team members. Be communicative. Yeah.
We have another question here. I work full time and I'm quite organized there, but how to keep up the motivation for other responsibilities as well that are important, but due to work, you cannot focus too much on them. So I would say that for this question, it's great that you're motivated and organized at work. I would say before you have to dive into your other responsibilities, taking some time for yourself, whether that's putting on a playlist and listening to a couple of songs, taking a walk, disconnecting before saying, okay, now I know that these are other priorities that I have or things that are important for me that I need to accomplish. Now it's my time to do it. I do that a lot myself. Again, I think actually Ellie brought up a really good point. I don't know how I haven't mentioned this since I mention it all the time. I do go to CrossFit 3 times a week, and I find a way to make this into my schedule with everything because it really helps clear my mind. And it's one area that I can just really focus on. So I would say that finding what really motivates you as well and helps you disconnect in order to be productive in those other priorities is key. And for me, it's something new. It's been around maybe 4 months. So I mean, try different things that will help you stay focused on your other priorities outside of work. And remember, you know, work isn't everything. You have other commitments as well, and they're part of life. So don't be too hard on yourself. Try to gain a routine and find what works best for you.
Thank you. Thank you again, both of you, for finding time to be part of this session. Yeah. We ran out of time, but any questions that you might have, please send it to us. You might use our info@internship email address. Okay, so you can always send us any question. If you're looking for internship programs, you're ready to apply, you can do that. You can do so on our website online. Follow us on our social media channels. We constantly put different news. There are different alumni stories that we keep gathering from our interns. We're gonna send this recording as well tomorrow for those that couldn't make it, or if you want to watch it again, share it with your colleagues. So thank you so much for all of you for making it today, and I wish you happy holidays as well. Thank you, Maria and Ellie.
Thank you, Joel.
And everyone.
If there's anything you can see from us in the future, we're happy to connect. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays.